The Centurion Project. Written by the 8th Day of Night. Chapter 43. A Canterlot Wedding, Section 1, Part 1. Elias held his head, shaking it back and forth and slowly as Night Flash pleaded with him. The pony had been doing so for the better part of an hour, and while the day's training hadn't been particularly exhausting, the conversation was wearing Elias's nerves down to nothing. He cut off the Pegasus' next sentence with a wave of his hand. First Centurion, I understand where you're coming from. I truly do. But the answer is no. It will always be no. It has to always be no. Night Flash's puppy dog eyes made an appearance as the Pegasus scooted forward in her seat, getting as close as possible to Elias without actually touching his desk. General, I beg of you to please just consider it. Night Flash pleaded. Shooting Star would be a perfect fit for a scout position. He's fast, he's smart, he already knows how to fight a little. I taught him myself, he's just what we need. Elias closed his eyes and rubbed at his forehead. He should have seen it coming. He should have known that Night Flash would take the opportunity. While initially planning the layout of his legion, Elias had assumed that the other forces would supply the army with enough scouts to screen the march, letting him focus entirely on making a core infantry group that could protect against any and all threats. What he had learned as training and planning sessions progressed, however, was that the other generals, save for Nightshade, intended to keep him out of their information loop, at least until they decided to let him in on the scouting reports. While furious, Elias didn't feel like putting in another complaint form about his fellows, so he instead worked with Bookbinder and Anyon to design equipment for a small scouting attachment, which he would only recruit from outside the Legion. He had already put far too much work into arranging the cohorts and auxiliary groups, and he wasn't about to change that plan so close to issuing the ponies their official uniforms. So, he set out a new recruitment campaign, specifically targeting ponies that prided themselves on speed. And that had led him to multiple issues. The first had come from Celestia, who once again interfered with his application process. She gave him a list of ponies that she considered non-applicable. Elias had responded by throwing the list back in her face, leaving no doubt that he would choose to exclude from his recruitment. Before the two could come to words over the issue, Luna had calmed him down and had helped him reach a compromise. Elias would again waive certain recruits from Ponyville, but at the same time, Celestia was forced to allow him to accept the application of a lesser few known Wonderbolts. The action had been done under secrecy, however, not only because the White Alicorn was forcing him to do so, but because Elias knew how some of the Pegasi would react if they knew actual Wonderbolts were nearby. He was going to have enough time corralling a Night Flash. Thinking of the devil, a second issue had come in the form of the Pegasus seated before him. Though it had been an open secret, Elias had, with Bookbinder's help, tried to keep Night Flash away from the recruitment posters. Elias had made the Pegasus work from dawn till dusk, pushing him harder than anyone else, praying that he would be so tired that all he could think about was sleep. Yet, Night Flash found the time after the morning training to get an out-of-castle lunch with his fiancée, and had seen a poster asking for scouts. Bookbinder reported that the Pegasus didn't say anything. He merely grabbed the poster and bolted. Less than a day later, Night Flash had trapped Elias in his office with a filled-out application in his hoof and a wide smile on his face. He was happy, energetic, and ready to make his case. Too bad that he had to argue to a stone wall. Shooting Star is too young, Elias replied. And, more importantly, he's your brother. You know the rules, First Centurion. You helped write them. He lightly pushed the application form back towards Night Flash. No family, no exceptions. He's going to receive a rejection letter. Elias scanned Night Flash's eyes for signs of defeat, but the damn Pegasus was determined. His hoof rose and pushed the form back towards Elias's hands. General, I can make sure nothing happens to him, he said firmly. I'll train Shooting Star twice as hard as every pony else. Please just give him this one chance. Elias sighed and turned off the compassionate area of his brain. He couldn't shut down Night Flash with even the slightest trace of empathy in his mind. He had to be rock solid and brutal. Elias' eyes hardened into a glare, aimed wholly at the Pegasus sitting across from him. You've just given me the exact reason why I won't give Shooting Star any chances, First Centurion. Elias snapped. You would rather focus on your brother instead of your job. which is the safety and preparedness of this legion. It is decidedly not to care for the safety of a single member. The answer is no, Flash. I will not let him die under my banner. That won't happen, General, Night Flash countered adamantly. I promise. You just need to... Can you see the future? Elias cut in. Damn, he was tired. It just never seemed to end. Planning and arguments, and more planning, followed by training and arguments about training. So much damn arguing. It was all just so... exhausting. His migraines had only grown worse, and despite talking with Scalpel, he had no real relief from them. He could almost feel the stress ripping his brain apart, but he would power through. He always did. And Elias just wished for the moment that he could go to bed. Night terrors be damned. Even they would be a welcome return to some semblance of normalcy. At least in his night terrors, the people were already dead, and he didn't have to worry about driving them away. Night Flash frowned and shook his head. No, General. Elias spread his hands. Then how will you know what will happen? What magical force lets you know who's going to live and die? Night Flash frowns deepened, and he drooped slightly in his seat. I don't know, General. I just... Elias cut it again, waving his finger back and forth. The answer is you don't. That's what's important here. You don't know. Elias sighed and sat back in his chair. The problem is that I don't know either. All I can do is work and plan and try to push everything to work out perfectly. But I let you in on one secret, Night Flash. Plans don't mean shit in the face of battle. They fall apart. He waved his hand through the air. A plan in battle is exactly like a sheet of paper in water. Fragile and easy to rend apart. It's messy. It doesn't rip cleanly. Plans are soft and flimsy, and I am already planning for the absolute worst. I am already writing the speech that I will have to deliver to your mother if you die. Elias said, jabbing a finger at Night Flash. I am writing a speech for each and every mother and father in Equestria. So don't you dare come into my office and ask me to write two for your family. Bring this up again, and Shooting Star won't be the only one receiving a letter of rejection. Elias's arm snapped out and he snatched a large rubber stamp from beside his pens. After a quick splash of ink, he slammed it down on Shooting Star's application. The ugly red mark left no doubt about the status of the application. Throwing it into the rejection pile was only a formality. The motion sapped all the energy Elias had left, however, and he slumped in his seat and he dropped the stamp back onto its hook. He didn't meet Night Flash's eyes, he spoke. Dismissed, First Centurion. I'll see you tomorrow morning for training. Elias could feel the heat of the Pegasus' anger as he snatched up his helmet and trotted from the room without another word. It had cut at Elias' heart. He had never seen Night Flash angry, and to have that turned on him, it was like a knife plunged into his ribs. Elias knew he had done damage to their relationship, perhaps irreparable damage, but he had to not care. If he managed to drive Night Flash away, then he might quit, and if he quit, he would be safe. The justification didn't sit well with him, but... Elias slumped in his chair for a while, meditating on the pain he felt at the Pegasus leaving him. His only comfort came from the blue feather around his neck. His hand drifted up and stroked it softly. Its fur-like quality still hadn't dulled or faded, and it was every bit as soft as the day Luna had given it to him. It acted as a reminder that he still had one friend left, even as he slowly alienated the rest. Elias glanced up as Bookbinder pushed back from her desk. Despite the cruel way he had dismissed her fiancé, she still regarded him with a motherly smile as she stood up and stretched. Her horn lit up, and Shooting Star's application levitated into her desk. She made a quick edit to the form, then drew an envelope from her desk and placed the form inside. That went into her saddlebags as she draped over her flanks. What did you change? Elias asked wearily. Bookbinder smiled sweetly at him. Merely added the reason why he was rejected, as I do with all the files. The stamp makes things faster, but it's a bit blunt. Ponies often take rejection personally, so I try to listen to your process and add what I can to soften the blow. It's a small thing, but I like to think it helps. Elias turned and looked back to the featureless wood of the desk. More work than I should be doing instead of you. Bookbinder sighed, but her smile never dropped.
No, General. You do your job to perfection.
Elias motioned toward the empty doorway. Others would disagree with that assessment, Auditor.
Night Flash isn't angry with you, General.
Bookbinder replied.
Or at least, he's not angry with Elias. He understands why you have to say no. But even with all of this work, he still cares about you. And he believes you feel the same. It frustrates him that we can't act like a family. Can't do favors for each other like a family would.
She tidied up her desk, shifting little things around to make it more organized.
In his perfect world, we would all work together, train together, that kind of thing. He misses when we were guards, and he wishes that he could get us back to that life. With Shooting Star included, of course.
Bookbinder looked back to Elias.
He just wants to train his brother, General. That's all. He's not angry with you. He's just disappointed with the situation we're in.
Elias spread his hands. But what can I do? I can't let Shooting Star in. You know that. He shook his head and looked towards one of the blank walls of his office. He needed to decorate, to put something up. Maybe a copy of the Legion banner. I'm already acting like an idiot, he continued, by letting my friends in. If I had a smart bone in my body, I would force you out, but here I am, a big stupid human stumbling his way through life, as usual. Bookbinder sighed again.
Please don't talk about yourself like that, General. It makes me want to break my promise and snuggle the life out of you. You're not stupid. You're just normal. You're acting like any other pony would in your situation. You just want those who you care about close.
Elias closed his eyes and let his chin hit his chest. But I'm not a pony, he said softly. The reason this is supposed to work is because I'm not a pony. I can't be a pony. Not now. Not... Elias felt the hoof on his shoulder when he looked up to find Bookbinder close, her eyes shining as she locked down his eyesight.
Don't say not ever, Elias. Because that day will come.
Her horn lit up and a scheduled book floated from her saddlebags. Opening to the 10th page, Bookbinder tapped a day at the end of the month and circled in red.
4 months, 28 days, you're going to be a pony in the eyes of the law, and in the eyes of the ponies you love. Who love you back 1,000,000 times more. Each day is a step closer, and if I have to remind you 1,000 times, I will do so.
Elias's eyes narrowed, and despite the comfort he took in her words, he needed to shift the subject away. Did you have my birthday circled? How do you even know that? Bookbinder smiled and the book disappeared back in her saddlebags.
A mare never tattles on her source. Before you say anything, it isn't anything big. A small gift, nothing more. Training as usual.
She strained and her motherly smile disappeared, replaced by her usual kind smile.
Now, if you'll excuse me, General, I'm going to have a talk with Flash, and then head home for the night. Don't work too hard.
Elias exhaled and slashed in his chair again as his eyes drifted towards the mountain of paperwork on the right side of his desk. No promises. I'll see you in the morning, Auditor. He got no reply, and for a moment he thought he made her angry with them too. And as he looked up to the sound of her fast retreating hoofsteps, his eyes caught a glimpse of a bright spot of color. It was a small letter with a glowing pink writing on the front. The writing said,
For my baby boy, Elias.
He sighed deeply. He knew what it was. Had expected it a bit sooner if he was being honest with himself. He just wished it hadn't come on such a bad day. Elias sat up and reached for the letter slowly. Best to read it before he said no. 1,000 apologies if I sound different. I originally thought I just threw my voice out with the session with some boys on the Discord. Those who know. But, I don't know, I think I'm catching something. I can't seem to do my proper Elias voice. So, again, I do apologize if it sounds strained. I did the best I could, and I really didn't want to leave you guys without content while I don't know, catching something. We'll figure it out. But, however, I would like to thank my wonderful Patreons. Thank you my tier 1s, Chase the Master, Jason, Squall One Feather, Lunar Gaze, 8th Day of Night, Sunlight Blaze, Hyperling, Nightingale, Rain Flicker, Redeemer of Dark, and Dreamless Portal. My tier 2s: Captain Blue Shadow, the Animated Ghost, HK4, aka Texture, Sword Brother and Mordred, Nocturne, DGMX 2000, Papa Linnet, and Can Panzer. And of course, a large thank you to my Titan tiers: User 1842, Dark Guardian, Danish Dash, Maverick, and Silent Titan. I appreciate you guys' support so much, and it means a ton to me. That aside, however, this has been Firehearth. Have a wonderful day.